Hey everyone, and welcome. So, you want to take your German to the next level? Move beyond just stating facts and really start making interesting comparisons? Well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down comparatives and superlatives, step by step, so you can sound way more precise and, honestly, just more natural when you speak. So, here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll cover the absolute basic building blocks. Then we'll get into the key rules for how to actually use them. After that, we'll tackle what happens when you put these adjectives before a noun, look at some really important irregular forms you just have to know, and then wrap up with common mistakes and a quick quiz to make sure it all sticks. Sound them? Let's get started. All right, first things first. Let's talk about the absolute basics. How do you actually form a comparison in German? It really all comes down to two simple endings. Okay, so if you want to compare two different things, say something is bigger or faster or older, you're going to use the comparative. And the rule here couldn't be simpler. You just tack er onto the end of the adjective. That's it. Take a look at the example. Mein Haus ist größer als dein Haus. Literally, my house is bigger than your house. See? Easy. And you can see just how consistent this is. Klein becomes kleiner. Schnell becomes schneller. Even an adjective like teuer, which means expensive, just becomes teurer. This er ending is your go-to tool for making these direct comparisons. But what if something isn't just faster? What if it's the fastest? That's where the superlative comes into play. When the adjective comes after the verb, like this, the formula is am, then the adjective, and then you stick esten on the end. So he runs the fastest becomes läuft am schnellsten. Okay, let's build on that foundation. Knowing the endings is a great start, but connecting your ideas properly and getting the pronunciation right is the next big step. This section covers two absolutely crucial rules for doing just that. Now, this is a big one, so listen up. To say something is colder than yesterday, you need to use the word als. So, heute ist es kälter als gestern. But if you want to say two things are the same, you use so wie, which basically means as. For example, Lisa is as tall as Max is Lisa ist so groß wie Max. So remember, als for difference, wie for sameness. Got it? And now for a little bit of German magic, the umlaut. You'll notice that for a lot of common, short adjectives, the main vowel, well, it changes. That A, O, or U gets those two little dots over it. And that changes the sound completely. This might seem like a small detail, but trust me, getting this right is a huge part of sounding like a native speaker. And this table right here shows you the pattern perfectly. Just look at this. Alt becomes älter. Groß becomes größer. And jung becomes junger. You can literally see and hear that shift. It's not alter, it's alter. That's the key. Okay, so you've got the basics down. Awesome. But now we're going to get into the part that, I'm not going to lie, often trips people up. What on earth happens when your comparative or superlative adjective comes before the noun it's describing? Here's the secret, and it's actually pretty simple. All those normal German adjective ending rules you've probably already learned, they still apply. You just add the correct grammatical ending after the er or the-st. It's just one extra layer. Let's look at a few examples to make this crystal clear. We have der schönste Tag, because Tag is masculine. Then it's die längste Nacht, because Nacht is feminine. And das wichtigste Problem, because Problem is neuter. See that final E or S? That's just the standard adjective ending getting tacked on after the ST. Of course, it just wouldn't be German without a few really important exceptions, would it? These irregular forms are used all the time, so they're ones you pretty much just have to memorize. And here they are, the big three. Gut, which is good, doesn't become guter. No, it becomes besser. Viel, meaning much or a lot, becomes mehr. And gern, which you use to show you like doing something, becomes lieber. These are non-negotiable. You've got to know them. And here's besser in a sentence. Dieses Buch ist besser als das andere. This book is better than the other one. A perfect everyday example. And here's one with lieber. Ich reise lieber im Sommer. This means I prefer to travel in the summer. It's how you compare activities you enjoy. You'd never say ich reise gerne. No way. You say ich reise lieber. All right, we have covered a ton of ground. So now let's zoom in on a couple of really common mistakes that learners make so you can sidestep them right from the get-go. Oh, this is a classic, especially for English speakers. We say more intelligent, right? So it's tempting to use mehr. But in German, you absolutely do not do that with regular adjectives. You just add the er. So it's simply, ist intelligenter als Sie. And remember that rule about adjectives that come before nouns? Well, it applies to the irregular ones too. It's not das beste Auto. Because the noun is das Auto, neuter, the adjective needs that a ending. It has to be das ist das beste Auto. Don't forget that ending. Okay, you've listened patiently. Now it's time to see what stuck. I'm going to give you a sentence with a blank. You think of the answer, and then I'll tell you what it is. Ready? Let's do this. My dog is friendlier than yours. The adjective is friendly, meaning friendly. What's the comparative form? I'll give you a second. It's friendlier. A nice, simple, regular comparative with that ear ending. Next up, today is warm day of the year. The adjective is warm. This is the superlative before a noun. What do you think? The answer is der wärmste. You need the article der, the st for the superlative, and that e ending because it's der Tag. Last one. I drink coffee than tea, as in I prefer coffee. The adjective is gern. Which irregular comparative do we need here? It's lieber. Ich trinke lieber Kaffee als Tee. Great job! So, let's do a super quick recap of the absolute must-knows. For comparisons, it's adjective plus plus alls. For the most, it's either am, sten after a verb, or der, die, das, st plus an ending before a noun. And for the love of all that is German, don't forget the big three irregulars, gut, viel, and gern, and keep an eye out for those sneaky umlauts. You know, the absolute best way to get this stuff down is to just start using it. Right now, describe some things around you. Is your coffee stronger than it was yesterday? Is this the most helpful explainer you've watched today? The more you practice, the more it's all going to become second nature. Thanks so much for watching, and happy comparing.